on today's Into Your Head number 685, what tinned apples tell you about going outdoors, why kids should have guns, knowing too much about dogs, a brief history of agoraphobia, disclaimers versus reclaimers, Judge Judy's husband, incentives for hygiene, model airwaves, living down under and more. I've always been a great believer in the dictum Esc Auriles Agoraphobia, which, as you're no doubt fully aware, means ask not what your country can do, ask instead. That's what all it says. Ask instead. And you're supposed to fill in the blanks yourself, because you can't have your whole life dictated to you by fucking proverbs. No. Sometimes you have to improvise and make it up yourself and decide what. You can't be sitting round all day going, what do the proverbs tell me about what I should do in this situation, which I appear to be in? And if I appear to be in it, then you can be damn sure to Christ as hell that I am in it, or might as well be in it anyway, because the effect is the same. If it appears that I'm in it, then it's the same as if I am in it. If I think I'm in the shit and I'm not in the shit, the fact that I'm not in the shit isn't going to help me if I think I am in the shit, because I'm going to be as miserable thinking that I'm in the shit as I would be if I was really in the shit. It's not going to make any difference to me whether or not I'm in the shit. So it doesn't matter if you're not sitting in shit if you think you're sitting in shit, I think is what I'm trying to say. Find me a fucking proverb for that. I can tell you, I'll come round and give you one of my finest cats. I'll give you one of my not one of mine. I'll get one and pretend it's one of mine, because it's all the same to you. If I come round to you and tell you, here's one of my finest cats, I'm giving it to you as an award, and it's not really one of my cats at all, but you think it's one of my cats, then it's exactly the same. The experience for you is exactly the same as if I told you the truth and gave you one of my cats, really. So let that be a lesson to us all. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show. Two agoraphobics walk into a bar. One of the agoraphobics goes straight up to the bar counter, and then he pauses for a moment to give me time to look up what an agoraphobic is, because I'm not completely sure. I think, hold on a minute. Anxiety disorder, anxiety in situations where the environment is being difficult. Well, that's okay then. Two agoraphobics walk into a bar. One of the agoraphobics goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And would you mind having it delivered round to my house? Because I'm not really here at all. This is a hologram. This isn't the real me. If that song from The Who came up and said, 'Can you see the real me, Doctor?' You'd reply straight away. You'd say, 'No, I can't see the real you, because you're just a hologram. You're sitting there at home. You're using a remote-controlled hologram, as opposed to a manually controlled hologram, whatever the fuck that is.' You'd probably also ask why I'm calling you Doctor when you're a barman. You'd also say, 'Why am I singing in Doctor Who songs?' Well, it's a song from a Doctor Who musical album, either Agoraphobia or the other one, so it's perfectly reasonable to use it as conversation, because that's how musicals work. They pick conversations in song. They'll say, 'Can you see the real me, Doctor?' And then they go, 'Out of my brain on the 5:15, out of my brain on the 5. There's the download statistics by email for last week for Into Your Head. Christ, we'll just delete that. Anyway, the man behind the bar says, I couldn't care less whether you're the real you or the fake you, as long as you're giving me money, and it better not be holographic money. And the hologram says, well, do you take credit cards? And the man behind the bar says, how the fuck is that going to work? And the hologram says, well, obviously I'm a hologram. I don't have a real credit card with me, but I have access to my operator's credit card details, and I'm online. Do you do online transactions? And the barman says, this is a bar. Why would I do online transactions in a bar where people come in person to be social? And the hologram says, well, obviously I haven't come in person to be social. Are you discriminating against me? And the barman says, yes, I am. I'm discriminating against you. What are you going to do about it? And the hologram says, I'm going to get the real me in here. And then the real him comes in and stands beside the hologram, and the barman says, you don't look remotely like your hologram. And the real me says, I know, it's not meant to be physically accurate. We're not frigging obsessed with appearances here. You don't judge a book by its cover no more than you judge a dog by the length of its fur. Or maybe you would if you're a dog judging contest. Well, not a dog judging contest, a dog contest. They probably have dog judging contests as well, but those are just the exams that the dog judges go through before they become qualified to judge dogs. They're not really contests, they're more just exams, although they are a contest in a way, because there's only going to be a limited number of jobs for these dog judges, so they're competing against each other to get the best possible results in these exams. But I digress there. Once upon a time, there was one agoraphobic, and his name was Adam, and he realised the sole cause of his agoraphobia was being alone in the world. He wasn't really an agoraphobic at all, he just had no experience of interaction with others. Then Eve came along, and the rest is history. So that's one of ironically, one of the shortest stories known to man was the story of how Adam overcame his agoraphobia, which he probably didn't even know he had until there was another person there. How do you tell you've got agoraphobia if there's no one else there? Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the nature of agoraphobia. I only really skimmed over that Wikipedia article that I looked up a moment ago, because I didn't want to put the show on hold while I study for a degree in agoraphobia, just so I can tell a bar story about it. I'm not even going to finish. Don't be fucking ridiculous. There's such a thing as over-researching, you know. You see this on the likes of television shows. You look at the closing credit and you have a list of researchers. What the fuck are you researching? You're researching fonts that you can use for the closing credits to put the names of the researchers in. Or maybe they're researching something more important. I suppose that's possible. If the show is called Here's an Hour of Original Information which we've researched, and we're going to offload onto you, the viewer, now. I suppose it's reasonable then to have some researchers listed, but no, it's not. If it's just a program about If it's a program about dogs, you don't need researchers. We already know everything there is to know about dogs, and if we don't, then it's not worth knowing. Stuff that we don't know by now about dogs is not worth knowing. We've got on perfectly well for billions of years with the dogs without knowing everything about them. I don't know all that much about dogs. Don't have a dog anymore. I have cats instead, and they're pretty much the same thing. A cat is pretty much just a dog with different ears, same number of legs, same number of tails, same type of head, roughly the same shape of body, just makes different noises and eats different stuff and interacts differently. That's the only thing. We're all like that. We're all different in that way. You might say a dog is entirely different from a cat just because it has a different personality. Well, I'm different from you probably in that I have a different personality. That doesn't make us different species. No, you and I are the same species. So don't be getting up on your high horse thinking, Christ, that low-level scum, he's from a different species from me. He's probably a Homo sapien or something, and I'm a human being. Well, you may be a human being, but I'm a human doing. I'm doing this. So stop being a human being and be a human being doing. A human being doing this. That's what you should... Oh, there's a name for this episode. episode. Hold on, I'll write that down. Human being doing this. There we go. We might modify that slightly later when I have time to stop and think about it. But I'm busy at the moment. I'm busy being a human being doing this. You're busy being a human being. How a being doesn't take much effort. That's like you were being for several months before you even became conscious of your existence as a baby. You were being for ages and you never even thought about it. You probably don't even remember anything until you were 3 years of age. And tell me what you remember about being 4 years of age, and I'll tell you two cats walk into a bar story that'll be just as significant as anything that you can remember from that era. People like to say, they'll say, oh, anything that happens to you as a toddler has a huge effect on your being for the rest of your life. Let's say, for example, if you're driving along in your car at age 3, maybe you live on a farm or somewhere where it's okay for underage children to be driving around on the private property, on the private roadway, which is perfectly legitimate if you're doing it properly. If you own a farm and it's all private land, then you're basically your own independent country. You don't have to abide the rules of the road on your private road there. People don't seem to realise that. So don't be getting up on your high horse again, which you've only just climbed down off, because I mentioned you being on your high horse less than 5 minutes ago, and you're back on it now because I dare to suggest that people who own a bit of farmland shouldn't allow their 3-year-olds to drive cars. Well, you don't have all the information. Don't be judging until you have all the information about what they're doing. Maybe, for example, they've got the child on their lap, and the child's got like that opening sequence from The Simpsons where they have Maggie the child up on the driver's lap with a toy steering wheel. I'd much rather a child use a real steering wheel in a car than a toy steering wheel. If you come across something on the road and you have to swerve to avoid it, a toy steering wheel isn't going to save you, I can tell you. No, I'd much rather the child be operating the car properly than just going through the motions. No, that's no use to you, because they'll get too cocky then. They'll think, it's the same as if you give a child a toy gun, and then they'll be out one day and someone will try to mug them and they'll point the toy gun at the mugger and they think it's going to be effective, and then they'll end up having the shit kicked out of them. No, give them a real gun, and let's equip them for real life, not pretend life.
Follow Neil at twitter.com/intoyourheadpod and pretend to like him at facebook.com/intoyourheadpodcast.
I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, this is very controversial stuff here he's dealing with today. He's dealing with controversial stuff. He's like the, what's he like? What would be an example of a controversial TV program that I could give? I've got names of daytime Irish and British TV programs going through my head now that will make good examples of controversial stuff. But I'm dealing with an international audience here. So we have to deal in international phonics. Let's see. An example of I can't even remember what I was going to say about it anyway, so it's not really important. Well, maybe it was important. I can't remember. It might have been important, or it might have been as trivial as fuck. Can't remember. Can't for the life of me remember. We're 53 seconds into this segment now, and I can't for the life of me remember what point. Yes, I was saying, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking this is highly controversial stuff. It's as controversial as, for example, Judge Judy. Now, that's not a good example. Or is it? There's a question for you. There's a controversy in itself. Is Judge Judy controversial or isn't she? Well, I would argue that if that's a question that's in your head, then she is. By definition, if you can't tell if there's an argument to be made over whether or not she's controversial, then and that in itself is a controversy. Although maybe that doesn't mean she's controversial. It just means the issue of whether or not she's controversial is controversial. But that's a bit fucking obvious. So let's not go down the obvious route. I'm tired of going down the obvious route for everything. The obvious route here now would be to go to Judge Judy's. Walk into a bar. One of the Judge Judys goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, there appears to be someone over there impersonating me." And the man behind the bar says, "Well, that's to be expected with TV characters. I mean, you're not a real judge, you're a fake judge. And if you were on, for example, Law and Order, you'd expect someone on Saturday Night Live, for example, to do impressions of you. Although you probably wouldn't. Has anyone on Saturday Night Live ever done an impression of a judge of Law and Order? And oh no, the characters on Law and Order aren't that well known. We've all seen Law and Order, the investigative and judgmental crime TV program, but we don't know any of the characters very well. Well, one that pops into my head at the moment is the fellow with the weird nose and the hair and the glasses. I don't even know his name or what he does. I think he works in the cop shop. I'm not sure, but no, they're not really memorable characters to any extent. Although Judge Judy, you see, she's a memorable character. Obviously, I remember her. I remember Judge Judy as if I only saw her yesterday, which I didn't. I didn't see Judge Judy yesterday. I haven't seen her in ages. Although she's on the television every day. She comes on the television and they say, "Judge Judy is filmed in front of a live studio audience," or something like that. They say, something, Judge Judy, the cases are real, the judges are real, the people are real. It's just a program that's fake. They say something along those lines, some sort of a disclaimer. What's the opposite of a disclaimer? A reclaimer? I don't know. If you're making an announcement that's just to assert things, I suppose an assertion would be the opposite of a disclaimer. "I'm asserting that this is all real." That's what you say. And then, of course, you have to put a thing at the end in small print saying, "Except the thing about her being a real judge in a real court." I know she was a real court as a judge at some point. She was also married to another TV judge, a less successful one, who took over the long-running show, The People's Court, for a year or two before it was passed on again to someone else. But no one seems to know that, as nobody reads as many of these Wikipedia articles about TV shows as I do. I remember the People's Court back in the early 80s with Judge Wagner. I remember my mother used to watch it when I was about 5. You see, there's a memory from a toddler that I can remember, but it hasn't had any effect on my life whatsoever, except maybe a slight obsession with Judge Judy. I don't know, but I suppose I could make use of the time during the following brief commercial interlude to think about it and form some sort of an opinion thereupon.
IntoYourHead.com. Support the podcastual arts at no cost to you. Just click through the Amazon link at IntoYourHead.com whenever you go shopping for anything, even if you use Amazon UK or Canada. We'll take your weird foreign money here. We're not proud. Just visit IntoYourHead.com and click on the appropriate Amazon banner.
If you would like to comment on any of the issues raised in this program, email studio@intoyourhead.com. Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener.
Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats and stuff.
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neil's webcomic. Brand new episodes at IntoYourHead.com.
Matchstick cats and stuff. IntoYourHead.com.
To Judge Judy's walk into a bar. One of the Judge Judys goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "I hereby approach the bar." Ho, there's a little pun for you. And the man behind the bar says, "Judge Judy, for one thing, you're already a judge. You don't need to become a barrister. That's like if you become the senior managing director of McDonald's Ireland and then you go and look for a job sweeping the floor in a local branch. Not that there's anything wrong with sweeping the floor in the local branch. Someone has to do, and McDonald's Ireland has won awards for its hygiene. It's won the hygiene awards a couple of times, the big main hygiene awards. You get awards now for not pissing on the floor or spitting into your customers' drinks. That's great. So you should be. People need to be incentivized, because if you didn't incentivize people, they just do whatever's easiest or whatever's funnest. That's the way people are. I certainly would. If I worked in McDonald's and they weren't getting an award for hygiene, I'd just spend half my day shitting into bowls of curly fries, unless I was making them for myself, in which case I take a bit more care. But you can get curly fries in supermarkets now. You don't have to go into McDonald's for them. You can get frozen curly fries. You put them in the oven, you spread them on a baking tray, and you put them in a hot oven for about 10 minutes, and then you take them out. You throw a bit of garlic mayo on them, and then you throw them down your greedy gullet like there's no tomorrow. So McDonald's is becoming a bit outdated for that sort of thing. You don't need McDonald's to give you sliced apples either. You can get sliced apples in a tin in any supermarket. Or can you? There's a question for you. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen tinned apples. Why not? There's a question for you. You can get tinned pears, tinned peaches. You can get tinned pineapples, tinned sliced pineapples, tinned pineapple chunks. But I've never seen a tinned apple now that I think about it. Or have I? I can't remember. I don't think so, no. I've seen jars of applesauce, and you can probably get that in tins too, but no, not tinned sliced apple. I realise you'd have to put it in water to stop it rotting to bits, because if you leave a chopped apple out in the normal fresh air for more than a minute, it starts to go brown. What does that tell you about the air that we're breathing in here? An apple can't even survive in it without its skin on. That's why you don't go out without your skin on. You put a bit of skin on, and then you put sun cream over it to protect you from the sun. It's not really to protect you from the sun at all. That's a lie, we've been told. It's to protect you from oxygen, which apparently can make you rot in the space of a minute if you're an apple. An apple which is being designed to hang on trees out in the open all day and not go into houses at all. And that can't even survive in the open air for more than a minute without rotting. What does that tell you? It tells you very little, but it's a quite entertaining thought. Original, if you don't mind me saying so. I don't see why you wouldn't. Why wouldn't you? Why would you mind me saying that? Well, maybe because it's not very interesting, but just commenting on the... never mind. Anyway, on with the show is what I meant to say there. I guess I've got this habit of pressing stop before I finish the word show. Several times in the past few weeks I've heard myself, so go on with this. Maybe I'm trying to tell myself something. Maybe I'm trying to tell myself that I need to not be so trigger happy with the stop button. Maybe it's as simple as that. The obvious answer is always not always. The obvious thing to say would be that the obvious answer is always the most likely to be true. But that's a bit obvious if you don't mind me saying so. And as I always say, the most obvious answer is almost never the true one. So I can't be right. Can't be right. Anyway, on with the shite. Now, I see that we're 22 minutes and 52 seconds into the show. Add another 35 seconds or so onto that for the opening thing, where you have a bit of music and you say, on today's into... Don't worry, you don't have to say it's me that said it. I'd say, on today's into your head, blah, blah, blah. I do that at the end. Ironically, the very beginning of the show, I do that at the end. I haven't done the beginning yet. If you've heard the beginning already, you know a lot more than I do about my future. You know about at least the next 8 minutes or so of my future. You already have a summary of the highlights of what's going to happen during it. I hope it's nothing bad. Maybe I should go back and listen to the beginning of the show to find out before I exist through those 8 minutes. Oh, there's one of those minutes now gone already. One of those minutes gone because I've been prevaricating. I've been being Seth, just like every other human being, sitting around waiting for time to pass just so I can find out what happened during it. It's the same with everything. Last week we watched the last episode of the second last season of Dexter, and we were told, they're going to show the next one in July. They don't usually show over here until the following spring, but they're going to show the last season in July this time, because they know that we humans can't sit around waiting to find out what's going to happen. Will his sister kill him? Will he kill his sister? Will they both kill each other like in that film? What's that movie they had a few years ago where everyone shot each other to death at the end and they all ended up dead? Well, except one. There was probably, I think there was one left alive. I can't remember. I know that movie with the gangsters and the guns and stuff. It's probably Martin Scorsese or someone did it. Was it? I don't know. He didn't do the shooting. Well, he directed it. He probably created it in his mind, but that doesn't mean he's responsible for shooting people. Even if that was based on real life, he's not responsible. If I make a movie about JFK being shot in the head, it doesn't mean I'm responsible for JFK being shot in the head. Even if he wasn't shot in the head and I created an original fictional drama that portrays him being shot in the head and he wasn't, that doesn't mean I've created JFK being shot in the head in real life. No, it just means I've imagined what it would be like in another universe where if the cinema screen was, instead of a cinema screen, just a window into another universe, here's what would happen in that other universe that I've imagined. It's not even a real other universe. It's just certainly in this universe, that universe isn't real, but in the other universe, that universe is real, but that's a fictional universe that I've created. So let's not get bogged down in whether or not it's true. You can't be going into movies with that thought in your head, thinking, this isn't true at all. This movie isn't even real. It's just ones and zeros. It's not even ones and zeros on the screen. They don't show them ones and zeros on the screen. The ones and zeros are running on a hard drive somewhere around the corner behind the popcorn stand. It's not a popcorn stand. Popcorn sits in the bottom of a bucket. It's not up on a stand. If it was up on a stand, you'd have to have an individual stand for each kernel of popcorn, unless you were going to stack them very carefully on top of each other, like some sort of weird person who makes giant palaces out of decks of cards for a hobby, or makes train model railway. There's people who make model airway bollocks. There's people who make model railways for a hobby, and they say, this is a great hobby, I'm creating a model of a railway. And you look under the railway in their spare room, and there's all this real estate underneath us that could be sold off. If that was a real model railway, why the fuck do I keep trying to say airway instead of railway? That's a very... You could read a lot into that. If you were a person who read a lot into things, you could say, that fella's clearly against railways and in favour of airways or airlines, whatever they are. Well, that's true. Not that I have anything particular against railways, but at least with the thing with aeroplanes is they can fly anywhere that they're legally allowed to fly. The railway can only... a train can only go along a rail. An aeroplane can go along a railway line as well. I'd probably need to go a few feet higher just to not crash into a train, and it'd probably be trespassing. If an airplane was to fly along a railway line, would it be trespassing? It probably would. You can't be just because you have an airplane doesn't mean you can go wherever you want. You wouldn't want an aeroplane flying just over your back garden unless it was half a mile up into the sky, which it usually is. That's why they can get away with it. You can get away with anything if you do it high enough into the sky or deep enough underground. The Australians are doing all sorts of stuff right under my house right as we speak, but they get away with it because they're several thousand miles under the ground, so much so that they forget they're even under the ground. They think they're Oh, they think they're just on a normal bog standard surface of the earth. They forget they're underground until they watch one of our TV programs where we say, let's go down under. And they'll say, what the freaking hell are those foreigners talking about when they're down under? And then they listen to that song that they created, so they should know about it, that goes, I come from the land down under. I come from the land. Wasn't that created by Australians? Wasn't it men at work or something? So they should know what down under means. Although it shouldn't mean the same to them. Down under to them means us. So are those people saying that they come from northeastern Europe rather than Australia? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. That's a possibility. But I have had 8 espressos and a few sips of dark stimulation drink today. So it's understandable if I'm overthinking. Now, understanding if I'm overthinking. Christ, I hope that's not signifying anything subliminally in my brain. Although, why would I hope that? Maybe it's something good. I don't know. It's just interesting that I should happen to say it that way. Anyway, good morning.
Into your head.